Okay, let's dive right in. I want to ask you something that sounds super simple, but it's one of the most important questions you could ever ask yourself. What is a thought? And I mean, what is it really? Because what if I told you that getting this one thing wrong, this one little misunderstanding, is the secret sauce of almost all the stress and struggle in your life? Yeah. So we're going to dig into the illusory nature of thought, because getting this right, it's a total game changer. And look, the stakes here are incredibly high. This isn't just some philosophical exercise. The difference between truly knowing what a thought is and just thinking you know is literally the difference between being trapped in a mental prison you built yourself, one filled with anxiety and frustration, and actual, genuine freedom. So yeah, what is a thought, really? Let's get to the bottom of this right now. And just to be clear, we're not after some dry dictionary definition here. Nope. We want to understand what a thought feels like, what it is in our own direct experience. That's the real mystery we're going to solve together. So to get to the truth of it, we have to start by unmasking an illusion. See, they're tricky, they're deceptive. They show up pretending to be one thing when they're actually something else entirely. It's an idea that the famous surrealist painter René Magritte captured perfectly with what he called the treachery of images. Okay, so here's the absolute key to this whole thing. A thought is a symbol. That's it. And what's a symbol? Well, a symbol by its very nature is something that stands for something else. It represents something that it itself is not. The word tree isn't a tree, right? An image of a tree in your head isn't a tree. They're just placeholders. They are not the real deal. There's this great story about Picasso that just nails this idea. Apparently, this guy comes up to him and complains that his paintings aren't realistic enough. And to make his point, the guy pulls a photo of his wife out of his wallet and says, "See, this is realistic." So Picasso takes a look at the photo and goes, "Your wife, she's awfully small and she's very flat." He was being totally literal. The photo isn't the man's wife. It's just a small, flat piece of paper. And we do this all the time. We constantly mistake the symbol for the real thing. And that's the exact same logic behind Magritte's super famous painting of a pipe, right? The one where he writes underneath it, "This is not a pipe." And of course it isn't. You can't pack it, you can't light it, you can't smoke it. It's just paint on a canvas. And here's where it gets personal. In exactly the same way, the thought of your problems is not your problems. The anxious thought about a bill is not the bill itself. The memory of your mother is not your mother. Okay, so right about now, you might be thinking, all right, this is a fun little philosophical game, but what's the point? Well, the point is everything. Because understanding this distinction has huge real-world consequences. This simple mix-up, confusing the symbol with reality, is the direct source of so much of our emotional pain. Think about it. All that stuff we don't want to feel, anger, sadness, frustration, fear, anxiety, where does it come from? Every single time, it's because we're reacting to our thoughts about what's happening, as if those thoughts are what's happening. We're basically looking at that small, flat photograph of reality and getting all worked up about it, believing it's the real thing. And that's why we suffer. And this really gets to the heart of it. Our distress, our suffering, it isn't actually out there in the world. It's contained completely within the meaning we decide to slap onto our thoughts. But if the thoughts themselves are just symbols, then the meaning we attach to them, well, that's an illusion too. So if we're trapped in this illusion, the big question is, how do we get out? How do we break free? Well, there's actually a really powerful technique for doing just that. It's a way to see our thoughts for what they literally are and to strip away all those painful stories we add on top. It's called flattening the illusion. So what does flattening the illusion even mean? It's simple, really. It's the practice of looking at any experience you're having, especially a thought, and just asking one simple question. What is this literally? It's all about breaking down your mental world into its raw, basic parts, before your mind gets a chance to spin a whole story about it. Let's break it down like this. Every single thought basically has two parts. You've got the content, that's the story, the meaning, the judgment, all the drama our mind cooks up. But then, underneath all that, you have what the thought literally is. This is just the raw data of your experience. We're talking about a sensation in your body, a flicker of an image, maybe a sound in your head. The whole trick is learning to see the difference between the two. All right, let's make this super practical and walk through a real-world example. It's a really simple 3-step process. First, you just have to notice the thought that's causing the trouble. Second,
You look at the content. What's the story it's telling you? And third, you describe what it literally is. What are the raw sensations that are actually happening?
Okay, step 1, identify the thought. Let's use a really common one that causes a lot of pain for people. I am shy. Just those 3 little words. But man, they carry so much weight, don't they? For so many of us, that feels like a solid, permanent fact carved in stone. Like, this is just who I am.
Now for step 2, define the content. The story behind I am shy is way bigger than just those 3 words. The content is the whole narrative, right? It's, I'm always insecure in groups. I feel so bad about this. Why can't I just be different? It's all the memories of past awkward moments, all the self-judgment. It's this whole movie that just keeps the suffering going.
But now for the magic. Step 3. What is it literally? Let's flatten this whole thing. The experience of I am shy isn't some big, solid fact about you. When you look closely, what is it? Well, it's a bunch of temporary sensations. Maybe it's that butterflies feeling in your stomach, a little tightness in your chest, a quick flash of an image of you looking awkward, and the literal sound of the words I am shy echoing in your head. That's it. When you see it for what it is, just a passing collection of sensations, it suddenly loses all its power. It's not a monster anymore.
And listen, this isn't just some clever little mind trick you do once. This is a fundamental skill for life. It's about learning how to actually become the master of your own mind, simply by learning to see through the illusions that it's constantly creating, day in and day out.
I love this analogy. Think about an artist learning to draw. A good teacher will tell them, stop drawing what you think a chair looks like. Stop drawing the idea of a chair. Instead, they teach them to see what's literally there, the actual lines, the shapes, the patches of light and shadow. We can train ourselves to do the exact same thing, but with our own thoughts and feelings. And let's be real, this takes practice. You gotta put in the reps. It is absolutely a skill, no different than learning to hit a golf ball or play an instrument. You have to actively train your mind to stop buying the story and start seeing what's literally there. But the cool thing is, the more you practice, the better you get, and the more freedom you're gonna feel. So there you have it. You now have the tool you need to start taking apart the illusions that have been causing you pain. The only question left, really, is for you. What illusion are you gonna flatten first?